I had been the victim of a divorce. In 1980, my parents got divorced. In 1978, I started into the drug culture, and I was dealing cocaine to support a cocaine habit that I had. I was getting drunk 5 out of 7 nights a week. I'd give you the shirt off my back. I was a nice guy, but just completely caught up in that drug culture. In the spring of 1985, I worked at a retail automotive place here in Holland, Michigan, and one of the customers that came to me to get his car repaired was Paul Hans. That was my first introduction to Paul. The day that the car was fixed and he came to pick it up, in Paul Hans fashion, he said, "Hey, would you like to go out for lunch sometime?" Well, I'll go out for lunch with anybody one time, so I said yes to that. The lunch came due the next week, and I met him at Izzy's, and again in Paul Hans fashion, he asked me during that lunch if I had ever heard the term born again. Have you ever heard that term? Well, I hadn't, and he proceeded to bring me into Scripture and started with John 3, and then moved to Romans, and then Acts, and then Revelation 3:20, where Jesus says, "Behold, I stand at the door of your heart and knock." And he asked me if I had ever done that or had ever asked Jesus to come into my heart. And I referenced something that I had done about a week earlier in my bedroom, following a gentleman on a cassette recorder, a plan of salvation style thing. And I said to Paul, I said, "Well, is that born again, what I did a week ago in my bedroom?" And I honestly forget what he said, but at that point what he did was invite me into a 2 Timothy 12-week one-on-one Bible study and said, "Hey, I'd love to meet with you in my office. I'd love to have lunch with you once a week, and for the next 12 weeks we can study Scripture together, and we can understand salvation, and we can talk about fellowship and assurance of salvation and 10 other topics." And I proceeded to join with him in those 12 weeks. Paul, you need to know from the bottom of my heart how grateful I am and thankful I am that you've been my senior pastor for so many years. I've learned so much from you as you've taught me from the pulpit out of Scriptures. I've learned so much from you as you have spent time with me and my family. And I love you, and I love Marilyn. I love your family and your kids, and I'm grateful for everything that you've done for me, Paul. Thank you so much.